It's been more than a year since we wrapped up 1883's thrilling story. The first prequel series in the Yellowstone franchise has provided a highly touching backstory to the Dutton family. We met the original Duttons and witnessed their journey to move to Montana and settle there. Since it lasted only a season and there were only a limited number of episodes, our introduction was kind of a brief one. But still, it was enough to provide an understanding of how much Montana means to the family and what kind of struggles they had to endure to reach this point. It truly enabled us to see the modern-day Duttons and their struggle to preserve their ranch in a different light, and I appreciate the show for this. Still, I can't help but to want more of 1883 and spend more time with the early-day Duttons. Since that's no longer possible, I feel like we can find consolation in getting deep dive into some of the behind-the-scene information about the show that you probably don't know. First of all, we have to touch on the importance of the year 1883. We know that it's after the Civil War, an era that witnessed so many demographic, cultural, and political changes in the U.S., but there are more specific meanings to the year 1883 and why Taylor Sheridan picked that particular year as the starting point of the Duttons' journey. The importance of 1883 can be traced back to March 1, 1872, when President Ulysses S. Grant signed the Yellowstone National Park Protection Act, officially establishing Yellowstone as the world's first national park. Fast forward 11 years to 1883, and an important development took place as the construction of the Northern Pacific Railroad finally reached Yellowstone. Yellowstone primarily spans the northwest corner of Wyoming, while also extending into parts of Montana and Idaho. I believe this was a very deliberate choice on Sheridan's part, as he wanted a date that marked Yellowstone as an accessible land, which eventually led the Duttons to settle there. There is also another factor that showcases Sheridan's attention to detail, especially when it comes to the dates. Did you know that Elsa's 18th birthday on the show coincides with a significant historical event, the anniversary of General Robert E. Lee's surrender to Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox, marking the end of the Civil War? This momentous occasion took place on April 9, 1865. That's to say, Elsa was born on the very same day that the Civil War came to a close. This adds yet another dimension to the symbolic significance of Elsa as a character. One can even argue that she was the hope of the U.S. after the Civil War, and yet a bunch of missteps, such as the mistreatment of the indigenous groups, greed, and bigotry, caused that hope to die right before it was about to flourish. What poetic storytelling! Another interesting fact is that you can actually visit the places that were filmed in Fort Worth, Texas, as they stand to this day. The filming of the Fort Worth, Texas scenes took place in the Fort Worth Stockyards Historic District, which spans 98 acres. This area holds significant historical value and was officially recognized as the Fort Worth Stockyards Historic District when it was listed in the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. The district comprises a total of 46 buildings and one structure. The White Elephant Saloon, which is prominently featured on the show, also still exists in Fort Worth and is owned by the famous TV personality Tin Love. Although the White Elephant Saloon has a history dating back to the late 1800s, it's no longer in its original location. Initially situated in an area known as Hell's Half Acre, the saloon remained dormant for a period of time before being relocated to the historic stockyards in 1970. Fort Worth is not the only connection of 1883 to reality. In fact, even some of the characters are based on real people. For instance, in the Civil War flashback sequences on the show, Tom Hanks takes on the role of General Meade, a character based on a real-life historical figure. General Meade is renowned for his victory over General Robert E. Lee at the Battle of Gettysburg, which is widely recognized as a crucial turning point in the Civil War. The choice of Tom Hanks to portray General Meade is fitting, considering his talent and reputation as an accomplished actor. He was appointed to command the Army of the Potomac just 3 days before the Battle of Gettysburg and continued to lead the Army until 1865. General Meade passed away in 1872, leaving behind a significant legacy in U.S. military history. Now let's move on to Elsa, perhaps the most interesting character on the show. When it comes to her particularities, I can count a million things that make her unique, and none of those things would be her horse riding style. Nevertheless, it turns out that in a sneaky way, Sheridan was trying to distinguish Elsa from the others by making her ride her horses in English style rather than the Western style. It seems like Isabel May, the actress who plays the part, got special training for that particular riding style. Apparently, this deliberate choice sets her apart and makes her easily distinguishable among the other riders. Another proof of Sheridan's attention to detail.
Played little games where you put, for example, an egg on a spoon and have to ride straight back and forth, and whoever does it the fastest wins.
Elsa also showed her musical talent in the show by playing the piano for Ennis and Wade. The haunting melody she performs is none other than Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Interestingly, the piano she plays holds a poignant history, having been left behind by immigrants while crossing a river. Knowing that Moonlight Sonata was composed after Death and Ennis is also about to die in the show a couple of episodes later adds much more to the already existing tragedy of the scene. Another important behind-the-scenes fact is that the parents of Elsa, Margaret, and James are married in real life as well. If you are a country music fan, this is far from a secret for you. But if you are not, you might be surprised to find out that Tim McGraw and Faith Hill are actually country music icons and true marriage goals for many people. So it's not surprising to see that the two have an immaculate chemistry on screen, as it is the true reflection of the off-screen romance.
This is beautiful in the sense that I get to be someone completely different than myself.
There is one more leading character in the show that we are yet to spill some teas about, and it is no other than Shay Brannon, played by Sam Elliott. Perhaps the most interesting thing about Sam Elliott is that he has never watched Yellowstone and has no interest in watching it like ever. During a podcast interview, Elliott expressed his disinterest in Yellowstone, stating, "I don't watch Yellowstone. I love Costner, and there's a lot of good people on the cast. A few of them I've worked with before, nothing against any of them, but it's just too much like fucking Dallas or something for me."
Yellowstone before because it's my favorite show on TV right now, and I think it's the best show.
I hear that from a lot of people, but I must say I've never watched it.
Well, that sounded like shade to me, but whenever you say Mr. Elliott. Also, the hat he wore on the show apparently has never fitted his head properly. During the same interview, Elliott shared his frustration, saying, "I had a hat on this fucking show. It was a hat that just didn't fit. I remember talking to Taylor Sheridan on the phone, and he said, 'We'll try 1,000,000 hats on if we have to. You'll have the right hat. Don't worry about it.' And I got down there, and it didn't happen. Shay's got a fucked up hat. I personally never noticed that his hat was looking weird on his head, but what do I know, right? Are you surprised by any of these behind-the-scenes facts about 1883? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.